You can call me Mystic Mac because I predict these things.
Marvin Vettori takes on Roman Dolidze this Saturday as the main event of UFC Fight Night back in the Apex. And this is a rematch of a fight between these guys back in March of 2023, so about 2 years ago. It's kind of lazy matchmaking, honestly. I would have preferred a different fight, maybe had this as the co-main event, but it is what it is. A lot of people complaining about this fight and the card in general as being a little kind of low level, but I like having fights every weekend, so I understand they can't be jam-packed every week. So Marvin Vettori been out of the cage for about 21 months. His last fight was against Jared Cannonier in a main event where he had a very good beginning to the fight where he dropped or rocked Jared Cannonier, but then it was just kind of all downhill from there, getting beat up on the feet, getting taken down. I think the official significant strike count for Jared Cannonier was 247. I think he beat the middleweight significant strike record of by 75 strikes. It was 186 before that. So took an absolute whooping in that fight. I understand why he took some time off, maybe to get a little bit better, recover from the punches that he suffered. He's young in the game, only 31 years old. So still in his prime, plenty of time to recover and get better. Taking on Roman Dolidze, like I had mentioned, this is a rematch in their first fight. So Roman Dolidze was on kind of a tear in the UFC. Came in, had a lot of really good finishes against Kyle Dawkins, Phil Hawes, Jack Hermanson, very impressive on the ground, a lot of power on the feet. Ran into Marvin Vettori. That fight, I feel like he landed the better strikes in round one, won round one. Marvin Vettori was getting the better of him on the feet, defending his takedowns in round two, and round three was pretty even. So I can understand why they gave it to Vettori. I don't think it's a robbery. I think if Dolidze did a little bit more in round three, he could have got the win, but it is what it is. His next fight was against Nassourdine Imavov. Couldn't really get his takedowns, was getting outclassed on the feet in that fight for 5 rounds, so Imavov's an absolute stud. I don't think Dolidze beats him unless he really improves upon his striking. But after that, took a short notice fight against Anthony Smith, just beat him up at 205. Very poor showing by Anthony Smith. Lost to Roman Dolidze, who was coming up a weight class and taking it on short notice. And after that, he beat Kevin Holland. It was Kevin Holland postured or tried to push out of from bottom and broke his rib or whatever. Kevin Holland being Kevin Holland. But this is a very close fight. Marvin Vettori is the favorite. I think he's minus 140. Minus 140 to Roman Dolidze's plus 120. I'm going to have to lean towards Roman Dolidze in this one. Marvin Vettori, he's a good striker. Southpaw throws really good 1-2s, a lot of leg kicks. Was the more technical fighter in their first fight. He has really good takedown defense. I think he's 70% takedown defense, good leg kicks. He just doesn't have a lot of momentum. He's 2-3 in his last 5 fights, coming off of, like I said, that big loss to Jared Cannonier, lost to Robert Whittaker, beat Paulo Costa, but who's not beating Paulo Costa right now? I just don't think he's that good, in all honesty. He's got some good wins, a lot of them by decision though. I think he's just very rudimentary. Very good cardio, tough as nails. Got one of the best chins on him in the UFC, taking the strikes that he did from Robert Whittaker. Even Roman Dolidze was cracking him, and then just getting beat on for 5 rounds by Jared Cannonier. He's just very tough, but that's not. I don't want to pick somebody because they're tough. I want you to be tough, but not. I don't want to know how tough you are because you're getting the brakes beat off of you in a main event against Jared Cannonier, who's 40 years old. Roman Dolidze is tough, but I don't see him just getting pounded on. Even against Imavov, he was taking some good shots, but he wasn't just getting absolutely destroyed for those 5 rounds. He had points in that fight. Was never really winning, so to speak, but wasn't getting absolutely demolished. He does have more momentum, and he's been more active as of late. He's on a 2-fight winning streak. He just fought back in October, and again, but Marvin Vettori out 21 months, coming off of that loss to Jared Cannonier, where he didn't look great again. I just think Roman Dolidze, he's an orthodox striker. He's not the most technical guy in the feet, but he does have tons of power. We've seen him knock out guys like Phil Hawes, absolutely tore his knee apart, and he's kind of a sitting duck on the feet where he knocked him out. Knocked out Kyle Dawkins, looked like an absolute beast in that fight. Came right out of the gate, very aggressive after Kyle Dawkins, and got the finish in the first round. I wish that we saw that more out of him, and I feel like if he takes that approach with Marvin Vettori, I think that he can get him out of there on the feet, or at least help him to get his takedowns. But again, not very technical. It just kind of relies on his chin. He's one of those guys where he relies on him having more power and being able to take your shots and you not being able to take his. That's kind of the brawler. He's kind of a bruiser type of guy. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt with really good leg locks. I think he's like a European ADCC champ. So if he gets this to the ground, I think Marvin Vettori is a brown belt, but I feel like Dolidze, he struggles to get it to the ground, but once he does, he's very crafty. He'll invert, go for leg locks off bottom. He had I think it was like a calf slicer against Jack Hermanson, who's no slouch on the ground. Ended up TKOing him with strikes from the back. He came into the UFC with a loss to Trevin Giles. He did take that on short notice, I believe, and it was like his first fight, dropping down to middleweight. So lost a decision, but ever since then went on a 4-fight winning streak with 3 finishes by strikes before losing to Marvin Vettori and Nassourdine Imavov. So I just feel like Dolidze has power in the hands. He lands good kicks. I think he'll be bigger than Marvin Vettori. He used to fight at 205 pounds and cut back down to middleweight. He's just got more momentum right now on a 2-fight winning streak. He's fought more recently. He just has more finishing potential. Marvin Vettori, tough guy, pretty technical on the feet, good takedown defense, but he just doesn't really ever get the finishes. I'm looking through his record. The last finish he had was a rear naked choke back in 2020 against Carl Roberson, and before that he didn't have a finish until 2016. So I know it's a 5-round fight. I am concerned because Marvin Vettori has really good cardio, and I feel like Dolidze can kind of fade. But Dolidze has a full camp in this one. He's fought this guy before. He's been more active. He is getting up there in age. I think he's 36 right now. But I just think he's got more power, got more finishing ability on the ground. And I do feel like in their first fight, he was landing the harder punches. Marvin Vettori was being a little bit more crispy on the feet, getting a little more technical with landing his punches, but I think he landed more, but Dolidze definitely were more significant, and you could tell that they were affecting Vettori. So I'm going to go with Roman Dolidze, and this one is a small dog. I think he can get the finish. I think he can wear out Vettori on the feet, eventually get the takedown and TKO him or get the submission on the ground. I really do. I think Marvin Vettori, not the most confidence coming into this fight. Like I said, been out for a while. I just don't think he's as good as he thinks he is, and I think Roman Dolidze is better than we've seen as of late. So I'm gonna go with Roman Dolidze. I think he gets the TKO on the ground or the submission probably later in the fight, but probably like round 3 or 4. So let me know what you guys think. I was thinking Marvin Vettori could just kind of outpoint him and defend his takedowns for the entire fight. I just don't think he's going to see the same success this time around, now that Roman Dolidze has been in there with him and has had the time to fight in the interim and improve while Vettori's been on the sidelines. So Roman Dolidze, TKO to ground and pound or submission. Thanks.